Welcome back to a brand new episode of Arts Overlook. I'm your brand new host, Tristan Bennett, and I've been tasked with showing you the ins and outs of all the cultural happenings in the Cedar Valley. Today we'll be exploring an interesting and artistic conservation project, the Hearst Center's latest art exhibit, and the history behind it. And we'll see what went down at last weekend's College Hill Arts Festival. The latest episode of Arts Overlook starts right now.
Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
Now, when it comes to conservation, you may think of concepts such as recycling, planting trees, or maybe even going out and picking up some trash. But one local group took conservation to a more, let's say, artistic level, with a few gallons of house paint and a whole lot of plastic barrels. It was a cloudy and fittingly rainy Saturday morning as Danica Patton and dozens of local artists gathered around a pavilion in Overman Park.
So I work for Land and Water Stewards AmeriCorps. It's housed out of the University of Northern Iowa. So we focus on land and water conservation mitigation projects.
One of these projects is painting rain barrels.
So my role is basically stormwater maintenance. So that's where the rain barrels come in. I do a lot of rain garden installations and stuff like that.
What exactly are rain barrels, you might ask?
So a rain barrel is a vessel that captures rainwater, usually from a roof. So you hook the downspout up to it, and then you can use it to water your plants or your garden, or I use it to water my dog.
When it's all said and done, the group will have painted 50 unique rain barrels with plans to auction them off to the public.
There'll be 2 different bidding sessions. So on College Hill, there'll be 19, and they'll be bid on from Monday the 11th through the 17th. And then there'll be the rest on Main Street, and they'll be bid on the 16th through the 24th, and so both of those kind of coincide with a high population event, College Hill Arts Festival on College Hill and Cedar Falls on Main Street.
As for why they chose the rain barrels,
it's great because you're reducing runoff and you're reusing water, and that's something that people kind of take for granted sometimes, water, especially here in Iowa, because it's not seen as a problem, but it still is. So yeah.
For more information on the number of great conservation projects the Land and Water Stewards AmeriCorps is putting on, you can visit greeniowaamericorps.org. Now we move from painting to printing, or rather printmaking, as we dive into the Hearst's latest exhibit that I think you may want to check out. For the past few weeks, the Hearst Center for the Arts has proudly been displaying 2 new exhibits, both showcasing the medium of printmaking.
So right now at the Hearst, we are kind of celebrating printmaking. We have 2 exhibitions right now, one of work by John Page, who is a Cedar Falls artist, and then we have kind of a major exhibition from the Syracuse University art collection that we're borrowing of Japanese woodblock cuts.
Cultural Programs Supervisor Heather Skeens explained why the 2 exhibits paired so well together.
We're hoping people will see that John Page most likely was looking at some of these very well-known examples of Japanese traditional woodcut printing, and you'll see the relationship between some of John Page's pieces and what's happening in the larger gallery.
Currently, the Hearst is displaying 2 different styles of these Japanese woodcuts.
There are 2 different time periods kind of explored in this exhibition. The first is ukiyo-e, and that's roughly 1750s to 1850s. And then later, the techniques that ukiyo-e artists were using with their woodcuts were adapted to later subject matter, and that's a period called shin-hanga. And that's going to be after 1850, all the way up to probably the mid-1900s.
The early history of Japanese woodcuts began as the reproduction of religious texts, or prayers, referred to as dharani. These prayers were then placed inside small hollow pagodas and distributed to temples in the mid-8th century. The earliest woodcuts were printed in just black ink, but later evolved into the ukiyo-e style produced by many well-known artists, some of which you can see at this exhibit.
There are several artists in this exhibition that people who really love Japanese woodblock cuts would be interested to see. We have several works by very well-known artists from both periods.
What makes these woodcuts unique is the lengthy process that goes into their creation.
The interesting thing about ukiyo-e, the style of woodblock cut, is that there's many people involved in making the prints. So you do have an artist that's credited with the original design, but you would also have artisans that were involved in the actual cutting of the woodblock to make the print. A different person might be responsible for actually inking the woodblock. Another person would be responsible for creating the print.
So what exactly were the images these artists were creating, you might wonder?
So ukiyo-e, that period in printmaking history in Japan is well known for images of beautiful geisha, images of kabuki theater actors, or beautiful landscapes. The really intriguing patterns, bright colors, really dynamic compositions.
Skeens went on to explain how these early woodcuts may have even inspired some of your favorite artists.
Western artists were really drawn to these types of compositions and use of color, which we see adapted in work by artists like Van Gogh or Cézanne or Manet. It really helped kind of jumpstart the modern aesthetic.
The Japanese Woodcuts exhibit may have had its closing reception already, but you can still check it out all the way up through July 13th, so make sure you don't miss out. Finally, before we go, let's take a look at some of the people, places, and things we experienced at this year's College Hill Arts Festival. Outside, it was nearly unbearable as temperatures rose up into the 90s, but that didn't really seem to faze the large crowd of attendees perusing the vast selection of art available for purchase at this year's College Hill Arts Festival. Mary Sue Bartlett, one of the co-chairs who worked tirelessly to help plan the festival, described to us some of the different styles of art being showcased this year.
We've got all different kinds of mediums. We've got photography, ceramics, sculpture, mixed media, perennial favorite jewelry, fiber, glass, wood. We've just got it all. And the artists do a wonderful job of appealing to all different types of people. Maybe you've got the serious art collector, maybe you've got people that are just starting out. So we've got different price ranges and, as I said, a lot of different mediums. So we appeal to a lot of different people.
Bartlett was also excited for the growing number of artists that traveled from all around the country to showcase their work.
We have 75 artists. They've come to us from 15 states around the United States, and so we're pretty excited about that.
Owners of The Laughingstock, Rick and Linda Bachman, traveled all the way from Aurora, Colorado to attend the festival. The Bachmans create a unique style of wood-carved furniture and decorations, ranging from clocks, mirrors, cabinets, and what they refer to as kinetic art.
Well, sometimes we're thought of as folk art because it's kind of an old style. I don't really know that I agree with that, but mostly it's whimsical kinetic art.
Rick and Linda are quite the team, but they also have their own unique roles in the creation of each piece.
You know, actually my husband is the one that does all of the woodworking as well as the designs. I am in charge of all of the painting, all of the color. So were it up to my husband, it'd probably be brown and gold and black and have a whole different look, versus with me, I throw the color at it. He's just always been that type of a person, loved to sketch little funny things out on his notepad even in class, and loved wood shop as one of his subjects in high school, and combined the two and thought life was great.
But in the world of self-employed artistry, hard work and persistence are a must.
Being a self-employed artist, as my husband Rick and I are, is the best and the worst, all wrapped up into one. An example of being the best is that we do what we love and we actually get paid for it. We get to create constantly. If we don't like something, we discontinue it. You have to be very diligent, motivated. If you don't go to work that day, then you most likely won't be getting paid down the road.
Being based out of Colorado, one might wonder how the Bachmans ended up all the way here in Cedar Falls.
We were told by several of our artist friends that it's a great show to do, well attended as well as enthusiastic art buyers.
And as for their thoughts on their first experience here.
Such nice people, wonderful community. I love these smaller shows. We do shows sometimes that there's 600 artists. This has 75, but I love this because you see so many families that have created this is their family time. They're all coming here together and just make an event out of the day.
In addition to the many artists in attendance, there were a number of other fun activities coinciding the event. The festival featured live music performances from a number of groups, including Orchestra Alto Maes. There were also some local food vendors and a poster signing from well-known artist Gary Kelly, who has been designing the festival's poster for years. But what really made the festival stand out was their focus on fostering a passion for art among the younger generations.
We also offer a lot for the children, and we have, that includes the Hearst Center. They do all sorts of art activities for the youth. They can come and experience musical instruments. And one of the really fun things that we offer for youth is called our Young Art Collectors Gallery. In that gallery are original pieces of artwork that are created by our artists. They put them in there, and the youth 14 and under can go in and they can purchase original pieces of art for under $10. And it really fosters art appreciation and an introduction to some kids who may think, can I do this as a living or as a hobby?
It was a great opportunity to see such a fun and exciting event have yet another successful year. Here's to 40 more years of the College Hill Arts Festival. Despite the heat, I know I sure had a great time talking to many of the artists and exploring all the different sights and sounds of the festival. Now this wraps up the latest episode of Arts Overlook. Be sure to tune in next time for your fresh perspective on the local cultural happenings, and check out our YouTube channel to watch some of our past episodes. For Arts Overlook, I'm Tristan Bennett. Thanks for watching.